Let's get started. Chuck, you sent me an email, which I enjoy reading your emails. Sometimes you bore me because you get in the weeds, okay?
Okay.
But this didn't do that, okay?
What did it do to you?
That's right. Well, I'm going to tell you. The title is Using Culture to Boost Employee Retention, which intrigued me. I agree with that. I was thinking this is going to be pretty good. And then you've got a title, 4 Ways to Use Culture for Employee Retention. Let's get started.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
Jack, are you ready to participate in this?
Absolutely.
So number 1 says, convey a clear sense of purpose. Well, we talked about that last week, right?
We did.
And as I read this section, first and foremost, understand and be willing to provide employees with a real sense of meaning. And I started getting this warm, fuzzy, and I started thinking, oh, boy. I mean, really? Every employee, I now should invite them over to the house for dinner before I hire them so that they agree with me on what my life's purpose is. It kind of rubbed me a little bit, Chuck. And could you explain that a little bit to me? Because honestly, it kind of gave me a headache thinking about every employee. Listen, I got 1 employee, 2 if you count the virtual, social media person that I have, right? So that's not hard. Matter of fact, Julie's been a family friend for 18 years. That's not hard. She's at the house, watching football games anyways. But to do that to all employees, it seems not only frustrating, but almost impossible. Walk me through this.
I think it's not so much, and I think we have to be really careful because obviously things have changed so much just particularly in the last 3 years. But the pendulum, I don't want that pendulum to overswing with what I'm trying to communicate through this piece. And that is when I talk about the sense of purpose, it doesn't mean that you need to have your applicants or your employees to your house. But really what it means is really changing the way that we approach the relationship with our clients or with our employees at work specifically. So I think when you're talking about hiring people, helping to be able to communicate a clear mission and a vision for the organization, and making sure that their mission and their purpose is in alignment with the company's.
Okay, that's probably happened maybe 20% of the time in my life, that my why was the why of the employee that I was hiring.
Right.
That's probably the case. And if you want me to wait until I can find somebody that agrees with my why before I hire them, I'm probably not going to open up about 10 of those restaurants. Do you see the challenge I'm having here?
Absolutely. No, I get that. And so what we're communicating here, it really does have an impact. It impacts the organization based on the type of industry you're in. To your point, hospitality, healthcare, sometimes education, getting enough volume of people coming through that you can actually hire is really, really difficult. But on the flip side of that, think about how much it costs you as the business owner when you make that wrong hire.
Oh, yeah. Well, Jack is over there nodding. He wants to get in on this. So, Jack, let me tell you something, buddy. If I had to make sure the why with my employees lined up with me every time, I'm telling you, it would be frustrating. Let me give you an example. One of my favorite businesses that I owned was a closet manufacturing business. I loved that business. I took a $39 sheet of 8x4 melamine and turned it into a $3,500 closet. I loved it. And I loved it not because the margins were so good, but because that 4x8 piece of melamine turned into this organizing, perfect perfection that people can put their stuff away. There's a whole world out there, people like me that like stuff organized, you understand, their shoes in a certain spot, their shirts in a certain spot. And so I really got value out of that. Well, let me tell you something. The guy that's actually installing that closet, the guy that's actually manufacturing it from the 4x8, they have completely different lives than me. Walk me through how we can possibly end up at the same why.
There's a lot of satisfaction that comes from something like that. I actually know professional organizers because there is a lot of satisfaction from that. And for them, it may not be, okay, I like the end result of everybody having their shoes in the right place and everything kind of where it needs to be. But their satisfaction could be the actual building of that to allow for something. So their whys could be, and I don't know, Chuck, if you agree with me on this, but it'll be kind of staggered. So their why is making the finished product to allow your why to happen. And so kind of that stacking of whys, still on the same thing, still going after the same goal overall, but it might be slightly different, still very much aligned though.
And so, Chuck, somehow you got to help me find out if, in fact, this person fits. That's not easy.
It's really not.
You just made my hiring 10 times harder.
It made
See my headache?
I understand your headache, definitely do. But are you the only one involved in the hiring process?
Right.
I mean, if you are the only one that's having to make that decision, that it does put a lot more of emphasis and a pressure on you to be able to make the right hire. That's the reason in many cases today we're having people actually bring more others to the table to interview, so that we've got different, really different perspectives, and also through that we get different opinions and mindsets. So I think it helps us make better decisions when we do that.
Okay, let's do number two. Number two. Ask employees about their work-life balance needs. Oh, my God. First you give me a headache, now you give me a stomachache. I mean, honestly, let me just, too often, leaders and managers make the mistake of work-life parameters to their employees. A better approach is to engage your people in the work of culture building. Oh, how pleasant it is. So now that I spent 2 weeks determining whether you're going to be happy building that closet, now you want me to make sure when they go home at an appropriate time, they're happy. And whether that closet is finished or not, I want to make sure they're home to go to dinner with their family. Am I understanding this correctly?
That is, you are understanding this correctly. Yes, you are. But I think that we have to take a look, again, looking back, we look at our generation, the way that we have lived our lives and decisions we made.
Our generation was you stayed till the job was done, and I don't care if your wife had to keep the plate warm.
That is exactly the way it used to be. You are correct. And
no,
again,
I can't do that no more.
I think the world has changed. The world has changed, and I'm even though I am going to be 60 come November, I'm here to tell you that I think the approach that what we're working toward today, the newer generation coming to the marketplace, it is going to be a healthier, more sustainable future going forward for all companies versus what we have experienced. Because I look back, we've done a lot of great things in the last 30 years, but we've also, from a societal standpoint, we've had a lot of issues that we have really exacerbated, such as when you look at things from their home life, you look at alcoholism, you look at divorce, you look at stress, you look at how the mental health issues.
Why is it it's the employer's responsibility to make sure your life is balanced? You're killing me. I already asked about your why. Now you want me to ask about your wife and children. Are they happy?
Well, I look at it from the employers as a business owner's standpoint. In the past, we have focused, all of our life has been focused, our main thing we looked at is work. That's been everything that we've done has been about work, and we try to fit life around it.
That's absolutely true.
And as we're moving forward, it's about life as a whole, and we're trying to figure out how work and how other things that really bring us joy and bring us fulfillment fit around that. So
the employee's simply not staying if I don't care and give them a warm fuzzy about their children and their dog. Make sure their cat had a good meal last night.
That is exactly my words that I use is we've got to be able to bring being human back to leadership.
So I hear you saying it, okay? And you put on here work-life balance is non-negotiable. Now, Chuck, I got to tell you something. Sooner or later, you're going to need the job. Now, you might not want to work for Joe. I got you. I'm saying that because he's a weird, such and such. I got that. Jack is nodding. Yeah, he sure is. But sooner or later, you're going to have to give in part of your life's balance for income, right? You're suggesting no. You're suggesting in the future the employer is going to bend, not the employee. I got to tell you something. That makes my stomach hurt. That seems almost impossible for an employer to be able to do that and be productive and continue a consistent service and product to the community.
Yeah, I think that to kind of push back on that, we have basically everything we look at today, it's always us versus them. There is no common ground in between. And so I think as we're looking at this, we have to almost look at this as each employee as an individual, not making a one-size-fits-all for the entire organization. I would grant to you that an employee is going to have to find time throughout the year where they're going to have to be willing to work extra hours or give extra time. Absolutely.
You mean they actually got to go into work on a Saturday, possibly, to make sure that something is done because they were too busy on Monday to do it? No.
That is going to happen, yes.
Okay, let's do the next one. Number 3. Okay. Oh, this one really got me. It gave me a headache and a stomach ache, and my toes were starting to palpitate. Provide autonomy. Now, let me get this straight, Chuck. First, you want me to make sure their why fits with my why. Then you want to make sure that their cat, their dog, their daughter, and their wife are happy. Now you want me to leave them alone and don't bother them. Don't go by and make sure they're doing their job. Am I getting this correctly? Because I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure whether it's employee or some no-show job that have been happening over the years.
I think, again, it goes back to the type of work that we're looking at. But I think if you're looking at, for example, software developers, or if you're looking at technology organizations, I think setting the expectations of what the role is and what the expectations are and the timelines when work has to be done, to give an employee that type of autonomy and let them decide whether they want to get up at 6 in the morning and go to work, or if they want to work at 10 o'clock at night. Give them some flexibility in there to make decisions. It helps them have more of a work-life balance when they do that.
They don't want to feel like they are being consistently micromanaged. Chuck, let me surprise you. Some people need to be micromanaged.
It's the days of command and control from ownership and leadership. Those days are either have gone or that ship has sailed.
Right.
And as we look at the new generation,
tough, Joe. It's there. It's happening.
When you look at the millennials and the Gen Z, that is we have to make some adaptations to how we are going to lead our companies. That's all I'm trying to say.
Unbelievable. Okay, well, here's the last one. This one got me. This is when I sent you the all-cap email. Have fun. Now, Chuck, let's regroup, okay? First, you want me to make sure their why is pleasant and pleasing to them and me. Then you want me to make sure that the dog, the cat, the wife, and the children are happy. And then you want me to make sure I leave them alone, don't bother them. And then, you want them to have fun, too. And this one really got me as they're having fun. I mean, this one just absolutely, it's possible you should allow them time to go for a bike ride in the middle of the day. Now, Chuck, I got to tell you something. When are they working, man?
We're talking about, normally they take breaks throughout the day anyway, but I think this has given them the flexibility to be able to go off site if they need to, just to be able to go for a walk. Studies have shown that when employees do take that short break throughout the day, they are more productive when they come back. So those are the kind of results we're seeing. And also, I think that as we're giving them more of the having fun, when we look at the Great Resignation and retention, being able to connect with your employees within their departments and as a team, it helps to minimize that turnover that companies are experiencing today.
Have fun, Jack. Have fun.
I like it. So I'm on the same page as Chuck here. But here, let me put it in a different context.
Jack said, "I'll come work for you, Chuck."
No, so I've got 2 employees. One of them takes a hike every Wednesday with some friends during the middle of the day. Great, go for it. I don't care. That means you're probably working.
I got clients that need stuff, Jack, in the middle of the day. They're walking around the park, and I got clients that need stuff.
Because she's going to work at 7 p.m. instead of noon. And that's fine as long as the work gets done to me. And that also allows some autonomy. And I'll challenge you with this, because autonomy sounds like a scary thing, right? But from what I'm seeing with my employees and other people in the millennial generation, they want the autonomy to grow on their own. So it's kind of, you set the path, and you say, here you go, grow on your own, and then they can challenge themselves and reach out when they need the help. and then that feeds the work-life balance, and it's kind of a nice structure, Chuck. I don't know what Joe's talking about here.
Okay. Using culture to boost employee retention. 4 ways to use culture. Number 1, convey a clear sense of purpose. Yuck. Ask employees about their work-life balance. Ugh. Provide autonomy. Oh, boy. And have fun. You're killing me, Chuck. You're killing me. You're killing me. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll let... I'm sorry, did you want to say something? Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll let Jack talk a little bit more about his business. Because somebody's got to work. We got to hire Jack to get the work done because the employees are too busy taking bike rides and hikes. Picnics, too, probably. Picnics. I can have a little chicken picnic.